Now is time for a little segment I like to call Hot Matches, and for the very first segment of Hot Matches, we are going to be talking about Xenoblade Chronicles, the entire series. Yes, so this is, as the time of recording, is 7 days before the release of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on December 1st, 2017, and let's get hyped. I'm ridiculously excited for this game, and okay, just seriously, guys, think about this. We didn't even know what the Switch was, technically, January 2017. And here we are, December 1st coming up here, and it's releasing a Xenoblade Chronicles sequel. How insane is that? Seriously, think about this. Xenoblade Chronicles X was announced early on in the Wii U's life cycle, right? Everyone's super hyped. I remember that first trailer, the music, oh my god, it was so good. That trailer was so epic. But then we waited, what, 2, maybe 3 years until it was finally released? Yet here we are, not even a year after the announcement of this game, and here we are ready to play this game on our Nintendo Switches. Seriously, this is insane. I can't wait to play this game. But you know what? Let's step back a little bit now. Xenoblade Chronicles, the very first game, comes out on the Wii. Remember, we weren't even originally supposed to get this game. I think it was first called Monado Beginning of the World, and I think it was localized to Europe and to Japan, and North America wasn't even going to get the game for some reason. We had to go through that whole Operation Rainfall business. Do you guys remember Operation Rainfall? Pandora's Tower, Last Story, Xenoblade Chronicles? I'm so happy that we did that. I feel like Operation Rainfall and really Xenoblade Chronicles and how well it sold on the Wii was one of the big major steps in Nintendo really modernizing their business and actually bringing out games that they assume wouldn't sell or do well in North America. And here we are now with Nintendo releasing pretty much every game they make, almost even universal dates, like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It's going to be released in all regions at the same date, December 1st. How crazy is that? This is complete 180 from the Nintendo of back then, before the Operation Rainfall business. And I feel like a lot of that, again, has to do with Xenoblade and how well it performed, how well it was received by everybody, extremely high rated, and again, it's a masterpiece in my opinion. It's my favorite Wii game. It's my favorite RPG of all time. It is... I'm so happy with where the Xenoblade Chronicles series has come from, and it all started from this fantastic game here. And some of the points that I kind of want to make about Xenoblade Chronicles, the music. Oh my goodness, the music was incredible. Just amazing. Like, I remember I made some of my old content. I did a top 10 Xenoblade Chronicles songs. Here's some of them. Thoughts to a Friend. Do you guys remember that? Central Factory. Impatience Mechanical Rhythm. That's everyone's that's the popular favorite from everybody. Engage the Enemy. Oh my god, so epic. I highly suggest you guys go to Nintendo's YouTube channel just to get pumped up again. They had Engage the Enemy live, a live recording of it. Oh, it sounds even better live. Holy shit, guys. It sounds so good. But yeah, so I'm actually going to play one of the songs here, actually, so enjoy this. The setting. So that's probably the biggest draw I had for the original game, was the setting. So you're atop two titanic gods, you know, the Bionis and the Mechonis. how cool is that setting? How, like, you don't get stuff like that like anywhere else, you know? You're literally living colonies on like the arm of the Bionis, the leg, torso, everything like that, the head of the Mechonis, you know. You travel across the two with a sword that's been like, you know, like slashed and stabbed into the guy's side. Like it's such a cool setting, and the scale of everything is just crazy. And how you're running on Bionis leg, you can like look up and you'd see like the arm reaching out, and you can always kind of place yourself on the body of these gods that you're living on and all these colonies. And it's, again, like, Tetsuya Takahashi and Monolith Soft have always created some of the most amazing, beautiful game worlds, like with Baten Kaitos back in the day, but I think they really outdid themselves with the first Xenoblade Chronicles, and I'm still in awe about it today. Just, it was such a fantastic idea, and you know, I'm really excited for where they're going to go with this, because Xenoblade Chronicles X, where it wasn't as imaginative in that way, the landscapes and everything they built up were just crazy, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. As far as the story for Xenoblade Chronicles, again, I don't want to like spoil it. Hopefully everyone's played it, you know, it's been a while, but really, even if it's like a 10-year-old game, I don't want to spoil this for anybody. It's a game everyone should play, but you know, they get you interested in the story right away with the Fiora and the Shulk, and you guys know kind of what happened with Metal Face, and you know, it instantly hooks you. And then the story just builds and builds and builds and wraps everything up in like a beautiful bow at the end. The story was so incredibly crafted. Something that I feel like any sequel to that game has a tough time to try to catch up to that. So we'll see how Xenoblade Chronicles 2 does. But again, the first game, wow, that story was incredible. It's, you know, it hooks you right from the start, and you just really, you love the characters. You want to go through with everything, and it, you know, it was just great. As far as the battle system goes, you know, it definitely could have been improved a little bit, but I did love the mix of the turn-based, the time-based, and the real action kind of a system where you're moving around constantly, you're positioning yourself, but then it's also a time, like, turn-based kind of a battle system. And it added so much layers and a very deep battle system. A lot of people would probably play through the game without actually touching every part of the battle system or part of the game that can really, you know, enhance your experience. It was just so much, and I feel like that's a staple for a lot of the Xenoblade games. Okay, so now on to Xenoblade Chronicles X. This released on the Wii U, obviously. Again, I brought up before that we had that amazing first trailer. You guys don't know how hyped I was. The music, holy shit. Hiroyuki Sawano, I believe you pronounce it. The guy who does like Attack on Titan and stuff. My goodness, that intro music with like the choir. I was so hyped from that trailer, and the fact that we had to wait like, what was it, 2.5, 3 years, something like that. That was so painful. But honestly, when I first played the game, I never played a game like it. I never had so many like kind of like emotions, and okay, I don't know about emotions, but like, you know, I never experienced something quite like that before, where it really was so truly open. But it's not just about being an open game. It was more about how everything is kind of built in the game world, and you know, that the fact that you see like these level 90, you know, dinosaurs basically walking right by you right from the very start of the game. There's nothing quite like it. And the build up about the whole, you know, the aliens destroying the human, the white whale, and crash landing on this planet. And, you know, you're trying to build it up, but then you're also in a time crunch because your whole human race could go extinct. You know, it was such a cool setting that really again, like the opening 20 hours or so of this was the most memorable and awe-inspiring kind of moments I've ever had in games, in my opinion. The opening 20 hours, just, you know, having everything down to the human scale, and you having to run, jump, and hide from larger enemies or attack these other ones, but then having some difficulty even with some smaller enemies until you really build yourself up. It was so incredible, and just the exploration part of it was amazing. I loved it. And then again, like at 50 hours in, when you get the mech, it again like opens it up for another like 10-15 hours of me just in absolute gaming heaven. That's something that even with Breath of the Wild, in its own way, it was a little bit different. I don't think even that really reached the exact point that I had with Xenoblade Chronicles X. As far as the story and the setting, again, like the setting is really great. I love the setting and the concept of the story, the overarching story I like a lot, but it lost a lot of the character development and interesting things when you had your own NPC kind of a thing. It was a little bit different, and I guess I didn't appreciate that as much as I guess some people might have. But, I think it's pretty clear that the story isn't nearly as developed as it was in Chronicles, but at the same time, even just reading developer interviews and stuff, it wasn't supposed to be. It was never supposed to be. And again, I think trying to follow up one of the best stories ever told in games, that's kind of tough. And I think they did had a good idea at the end, looking back at it, to really separate itself from what Xenoblade Chronicles was. And that's why I'm pretty excited for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to see where they can kind of improve on that type of fully detailed story that they did with the first game. I guess one thing I want to talk about for the two games, the first one, it was, wherever you can see, you can go, you can touch. And that was pretty much true for the entire first game, but with Xenoblade Chronicles X, they took that to a whole new level. And you guys all know what I'm talking about with, at first, you're climbing all these cliffs, you're doing these crazy moon jumps, and you had so much freedom in the world, which is, really liberating. And that's something that Monolith Soft does really well. And then they give you a mech. You can literally fly as high as you can possibly go into the sky and just drop. You can do anything, whenever, wherever. And again, that's something that you don't see in games too often. And I think these truly were one of the first games, at least with Nintendo, that are really pushing for this open world. And they clearly had a huge impact on how Nintendo developed Zelda Breath of the Wild. I guess what I did want to talk about as well was the music. Mono X, really good. Primordia, Mira theme. Again, I'm going to play one of the songs here for you guys, but Black Tar as well. There's a lot of great music here. Hiroyuki Sawano, again, he's fantastic for this type of epic scale. And I know a lot of people didn't like the New LA song. I thought it was pretty interesting. I didn't mind it, but yeah, I did play a little bit too often because you'd have to go back to the city. It'd be nice if they filtered that out a little bit. So we'll see how they kind of deal with that in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I have a feeling like you won't be going back to the same city so often as you did in Xenoblade Chronicles X, like the main hub. It'll be more like Xenoblade Chronicles where you're going through, village, city, town, all this different kind of stuff in a row. But yeah, again, definitely one of the best Wii U games. And I still just remember when I first got it, I would take days off from school, from uni. I would take off a full day. I would basically just sit there. I'd get like a bag of chips. I'd be like the biggest slob ever, and I would just completely invest my entire being into this game. I remember I'd take so many screenshots on Miiverse because everything was so breathtaking to me. And Miiverse, for how much I love Miiverse, it was a pain taking screenshots. The Switch is a godsend for screenshots, I'm telling you. I take so many, and before with Miiverse, you'd have to wait for it to load. You have to do the screenshot. It takes another loading time. Then you have to exit. It takes more loading time, and it was a huge pain. But again, I'm so excited for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 with it. Last kind of thing I want to talk about was Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. I do have the game, but I haven't actually played it all the way through on the 3DS yet. I think I've started up twice, and I played maybe 5 hours, and then there's other games that are new that I want to play. And then by the time that I had the time, I've played most of the RPGs in my backlog, and I was ready to play Xenoblade Chronicles on 3D. Then Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was announced. Then I didn't want to burn myself out with Xenoblade just before playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So I ended up holding off. And I will be playing that maybe a year after I beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And just kind of look back on it there and kind of compare the two from that end. So you guys will probably hear about that in the podcast at some point. And now my thoughts about Xenoblade Chronicles 2. In a word, hype! Holy crap. 7 days, people. 7 days. By the time you're listening to this, it's probably going to be 6, maybe 5. Heck, it's probably going to be out. But again, I'm so excited. I haven't been paying too much attention to all the announcements. I have watched pretty much everything they've released about it in the directs and all that kind of stuff, but I try not to digest too much. I just kind of look at how, like, what it is, some of the settings, but I don't try to listen to too much of. I want to learn the whole battle system with how the game is. I want to kind of develop from there. The music, the artists are returning from the first game, so I believe it's like Ace. I don't know if Yoko Shimomura is coming back. I forget if she is coming back or not for a couple songs. I'm not sure, but they're all back in here, and I can't be more excited for that. And Switch is a handheld device. Oh, I'm gonna be playing for the weekend. It's coming out on Friday. Sadly I can't get that day off of work for that day. Got some stuff going on the Friday, so Friday night all the way through till Monday, I am going to be a complete slob, just 100% of my time into Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it being on a handheld as well on TV, obviously. Again, godsend. Absolutely love it. Can't wait. I'm excited, I guess, about the face models. I think everyone always kind of realized that for Xenoblade, the face models were okay, but yeah, they were a little bit wonky. Xenoblade Chronicles X really kind of put some weird Uncanny Valley kind of a spin on them, and I was definitely not a fan of them. It's a little bit creepy at times, but they did the job, and everything else looked so gorgeous. Who actually really paid attention to any face? And I guess the last thing I really want to talk about was the Titans. The Titans. Oh my goodness. So how excited I was about Bionis and Mechonis. I can't imagine these Titans are as large as each one of those individually, but man, there's like over a dozen Titans that have all these different colonies on them. It's gonna be such a variety of locales. I'm so excited for this. Whereas Xenoblade Chronicles X, it was the world was so massive, but it really was just the 5 or the 6 different locales that you had. So it was like the wildlife area, the swampy area, the desert, the fire area, the ice area. Whereas this one, they're gonna have so many different Titans to go on in different locales that I just can't wait to see what creativity they kind of come up with here. So that's pretty much it, guys. I didn't have much else I really wanted to go over. I didn't want to really spoil too much, but hype for Xenoblade Chronicles, guys. Like, this is an important kind of gaming milestone, at least in my opinion here. This is going to be something for the ages, for the pretty much the Switch's life cycle. I can just imagine that this is going to be one of the top games released. Hopefully they don't screw it up, but let's not be so pessimistic here. I'm incredibly excited for this, and I hope you guys are too. But let's get going on the next segment here.